Welcome to Inside the Arena, your source for everything off the ice, off the court, and outside the field of play. With your hosts, KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and KOMO Senior Reporter Chris Daniels.
Niko, you've got a lot of cheering behind you this week.
I have never had such a great reception from in my house. Maybe outside for shout out to my little guy Dario, just turned 3 this week, so he was excited. But
happy birthday to Dario!
Yeah, he got a Mariners Kids Club hat. He was running around. He was having a good day.
Well, you know, it's been a monumental week of paying attention to numbers and states and who's in, who's out. You know, of course, we're talking about the college football playoff.
Is 21 too low for you, Chris? What do you think?
21, we're going to get to that on this edition of Inside the Arena, all the things that are good and bad and the world off the field, off the court, off the ice, and whether 21 is a magic number or not. We did say last week 22 is a great number for a lot of reasons, whether you're talking about the Cougs or Taylor Swift. But we'll talk about the Washington State Cougars, and there's a lot of Coug talk I want to have with you this week, Niko. And I think you have you have some Coug talk as well.
I do. I am really excited to bring you this. I would say one of my favorite players to talk to, any sport, any level, Dean Janikowski. We're going to get deeper into this, of course, but just really setting the example of how you can use your platform to genuinely improve lives and make the most of, as you'll hear, what was a tragic situation.
Very nice, and we do have some Sonics talk as well this week. We talk about the Supersonics every week, when, if they're going to come back, the Supersonic Minute. But we're going to talk for more than a minute about that subject. But first, what we do every week, Niko, we like to go around the bases, around the corners, the four corners. What's good, what's bad in the world of sports, again, off the court, off the ice, off the field of play, away from the X's and O's. And Niko, kick us off, take us down to first. What do you think's good this week in the world of sports?
You know what, Chris? I'm going to start with the Sounders being a positive. They have certainly advanced to the next round of the playoffs, which would be the conference semifinals. And I know there's much more than the X's and O's here, because we've talked about quite a bit on Inside the Arena about how this is pivotal for them, and we've seen maybe some attendance dips and things like that. Yeah. So to have something that is, at least at this point, becoming a sustained playoff run, to beat the Houston Dynamo in that best-of-3 series 2-0, and to win both games in penalty kicks, I think that generates buzz, that generates excitement. And, you know, listen, the longer this run goes, not just the obvious of more revenue and things of that sort, more ticket sale, all that stuff, but we're talking about more renewed interest, and it would sound more what we're used to with the Sounders. Obviously, they win the MLS Cup in 16 and 19. 5 years between championships is not a long time in any sport by any stretch. But when you had the run the Sounders did, and in the meantime, you haven't won, and in the meantime, new franchises like the Kraken come in, and who knows, as we talk about often, what comes in the next couple of years with the Sonics. I think a deep, sustained run, obviously, if they went all the way, that'd be one thing, but a deep, sustained run is exactly what that franchise needs at this time to really kick off, as another subject we talk about often on the show, what's going to be a really fantastic couple years of soccer in Seattle.
Yeah, it really is, in a way, a pivotal point for this franchise with the opening. It still has the new carpet smell of the Sounders facility down in Renton. We've talked about on this show the FIFA president coming to town and looking at that and how it will be incorporated into the World Cup, the Club World Cup in 2025, the FIFA World Cup in 2026, going to be a major event on par with the 62 World's Fair, according to the organizer. So this does seem like a pivotal run for this franchise as they try to keep the momentum with ticket sales dropping now over a 5 or 6 year period. If they can continue to go on, if they continue to move on in these playoffs, likely they'll sell more tickets. You alluded to it off the top, what I think is good this week, and that is the Washington State Cougar football team continuing to be a Cinderella story in this first year. They're leading the Pac-12, Niko. The two-member Pac-12 at 7-1. They're within striking distance in the college football playoff, coming in ranked 21st. We don't necessarily need to get into all the math and who needs to lose and all of that, but they are within striking distance potentially if they can win out to sneak into that college football playoff. Their only loss against the team that really seems to be from outside the Power Four conferences, the front runner right now, Boise State, the Broncos, the future Pac-12 member. They're sitting in a better position, but the Cougs keeping fan interest high, and as they get into November here with a game at the end of the year against Wyoming in Pullman after Thanksgiving, they're going to need to maintain that interest.
Yeah, and one thing about it too is the idea that when you look at Washington State having a chance here at the college football playoff, it's the idea that maybe you don't have to be in one of the big boy conferences to do it. And certainly, listen, 11 of those 12 spots are going to go to one of those teams. But when you have a team like Wazoo that's right there, maybe in part because of the schedule they play, they have enough decent wins over teams like Washington and hopefully Oregon State going forward. But this is a product of where they stand in the landscape. And as much as we've lamented it, this is one part of it that maybe has a silver lining to it, that you can be right there on the cusp of the college football playoff.
Well, with that said, what don't you like as you take us around second heading into third?
Hey, Chris, did DK Metcalf get traded ahead of the deadline?
According to my notes at this period of time when we're recording, no. No,
well, the deadline is passed, and this is my negative. Listen, my negative isn't him not getting traded. I think he is the star Seattle needs right now, and you're the 3 seasons after you traded Russell Wilson. Fans need a star. DK is the star. He's a freak out there. He's amazing to watch. He should be in Seattle for as long as he wants to be in Seattle. That's my take. But why this pertains to my negative here on the Four Corners is if you read fan sites across the country from different NFL teams, you would have thought it was a shoo-in that DK Metcalf was being traded from Seattle to, I got my notes here, the Steelers, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and what's this other one? The Falcons. Those were all sites that had articles up about this trade for DK Metcalf is in the works or being talked about or makes sense. And here's the problem, Chris. These are speculative articles with almost no basis. I can tell you they weren't thinking about trading him. You always take a call if somebody asks you about somebody, but I can tell you they weren't seriously ever considering it, okay? But because there were so many articles when he didn't get traded, there were more, for lack of a better term, mainstream sites like ESPN and things like that saying, they had to make an announcement that DK wasn't traded. Yeah. But in reality, it wasn't even close. And it all stems from fan speculation, from fan sites. And that's my gripe. That's my negative in this one. It was literally generated out of thin air based on, boy, the Steelers could use DK. Who couldn't use DK Metcalf? Yeah. But because so much was written about it, it became a thing. I'm ranting a little bit here. You know I like to rant.
Yeah.
But my goodness, it was so obnoxious to see, because in the know, we always talk about it, the basis of the show. We're in the locker room. They were not trading DK. I promise you they were not even remotely close to that. Yet, if you read fan articles, and I'm sure there were more than the teams I listed off, you would have thought that this – and Tampa Bay, by the way, is another team. I just glanced down at my notes. You would have thought it was on the horizon. It very clearly was not. And that is part of the landscape today that I feel for the consumers out there, that you read that and you start, well, maybe no, it wasn't even close. I don't know what fixes it, but I think that that's something we have to, keep an eye on in the near future. No question about it.
Well, you and I both know how this also works. The idea that agents will leak things to certain outlets or to certain people to try and advance and create some leverage. So, hey, yes. I'll close it out like this. We are a Coug centric podcast this week. The thing I don't like, the Coug schedule in 2025. After all of this talk, they're going to be playing a Big Ten-like schedule next year in football to try as they piece this all together one more year before the reconstituted Pac-12. They're playing at North Texas, at Colorado State, at Mississippi, at Virginia, at James Madison in Virginia. So they will be taking 2 road trips to Virginia, have 1 home game in about a month and a half, 2 months. That is like playing for all the criticism, all the talk you and I have had all season here on Inside the Arena about the Big Ten and all the travel, the Big 12, what the old Pac-12 schools are doing. That is a schedule that is unlike anything that the Cougs or I think the Huskies have ever had before. 2 cross-country trips to Virginia and then Texas, Colorado, Mississippi State. And, oh, by the way, a home and home with Oregon State.
Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah, but 2 games with the Beavers is something. And I'm telling you, the trips to Virginia, James Madison is the tougher of those games, even if Virginia is out of the Power League in the ACC. But we've already seen it. We've heard Jed Fish lament it. We've heard Mike McDonald completely change his plan around it, traveling all the way to the East Coast time zone, especially more than once in rapid fire. That's a really difficult thing for a football team to do. It appears, like you said, it's a 1-year thing, but it's not going to be a fun 1 year. Even if John Mateer is still calling the shots there with Coach Dicker, it's going to be a difficult stretch, no question.
Oh, boy, you just hinted at NIL stuff. We'll save that for another episode. But we've got to get in our Supersonic Minute because there is a fair amount to say here about what's going on with the NBA expansion and the potential return of the Sonics. You saw this, Niko, that the NBA had another game in Mexico City.
Yeah, and I think that, Adam Silver makes a good point when he says one day that city would make sense from the standpoint that, you want to expand the footprint. It's the reason the NFL plays games in London, Germany, and now even Brazil. The Raptors have been a roaring success, pun intended. Raptors did roar, right?
Yeah, I think they do roar. Or they did roar at one point in time.
and millions of years ago, they roared. And I think that Vancouver did not work out for different reasons, as we know much more closely here in the PNW. But, I think one day it makes sense, but from a permanent standpoint. But right now, it doesn't hurt to play a couple games and drum up interest in a city with a population of about 8 million people or so, give or take. My one take, and I know you're going to get into this, is for fans of this show that are just hanging on every word of the potential return to the Sonics, I wouldn't worry too much as far as them being a competitor here and now in 2024 and 2025.
So, let's talk about this. Adam Silver made a headline when he said he would love to have a franchise in Mexico City. He said that before the game there. Mexico City often gets mentioned in the same breath with Las Vegas and Seattle about an NBA expansion franchise. He did tell reporters there, personally, I would love to have a team, but there was also some additional reporting. Joe Varden with The Athletic talked to Silver after that press conference and told him a little bit more, and I would encourage people to read it for yourself at The Athletic. He quotes Adam Silver saying, being direct, it's highly unlikely Mexico City would jump above U.S. cities that are currently under consideration. And again, we've talked about this. Adam Silver watches his words very carefully. But at the same time, once we move into expansion mode and start looking at all the considerations that go with expansion, I think that would then allow us to have more of a template to understand whether a city like Mexico City would be suitable. He said the NBA front office, according to Varden, has begun to study expansion internally, and adding a team to Mexico City is, quote, many years off. He also said it would be his preference to add 2 teams instead of 1, and the matter would be referred to an existing committee of owners. That would be the expansion committee that we've talked about that a lot of people thought was going to be formed back in September. There's an additional piece of reporting, Niko, on all of this, also from The Athletic. Mike Vorkanoff talking about the Celtics sale. You and I have discussed that on this show as well, how that is potentially holding up the expansion announcement and what is going on with Seattle in terms of an expansion committee that would then potentially look at a team in Seattle. And Mike Vorkanoff is reporting, and again, I would encourage people to read this for yourself. The Celtics are the first team on the market after the media rights deal was finished. One NBA owner, granted anonymity so they could speak freely, believes the team could sell close to $6 billion. One sports banker predicted $5.5 billion. And again, according to Vorkanoff, the results being watched closely not just to see if the Celtics set an NBA record, but what it could mean for the future. If the franchise does sell closer to $6 billion, as the NBA owner projected, he believes it could push up the price for a potential expansion franchise, say in Las Vegas, into the $7 billion to $8 billion range. So we are talking about that number continuing to go up. I think if you are part of the Seattle ownership group that would really like to be a part of this, that is not what you wanted to see in print.
No, and I'm not as savvy on the business front as Vorkunov or you for that standpoint, but to me, it sounds strange because the Celtics have all this history. They have a cachet. So why would an expansion franchise be worth more? I know we're limited on time, but I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that is another subject we'll dive into, like we do every week here with the Supersonic Minute. But we this week have a lot of Coug talk. You have more Coug talk.
Yeah, and this is like I mentioned off the top, this is a really special guy, Dean Janikowski. He is the Cougs kicker. It's somebody that really made the most, as I mentioned earlier, out of an unfortunate situation. When I say that, it's because his mother battled cancer. She beat it and was informed. We're talking stage 4. She beat it, was in remission. A couple years later, it did come back and did claim her life. And we're talking about something that was, really a brutal thing to go through, as so many families are aware of. And, losing your mother, obviously that's a devastating thing. And so what Dean did to honor his mother, Heather, he started the Heather Janikowski Foundation, which helps other folks that are going through this similar thing, whether it's people fighting cancer, whether it's families that are enduring that brutal loss. On top of that, the way he's doing it is really special. He is taking pledges for every extra point or field goal he makes. And we talked last year about this in 2023, and he mentioned there were some Husky fans that actually were talking trash to him because he was celebrating that he made this 50-yard field goal. And they're like, oh, he's acting like he won the Super Bowl. It's a one field goal. And he's like, actually, you don't know this. It's okay. But that just raised, something like $700 for people in need. And so I'm just struck by him taking such an awful situation and turning it into this overwhelming positive. And you'll hear into this interview, he's even getting more creative now. He's from scratch building electric scooters to auction off. And you'll hear in this interview who bought it, which is really awesome. And all the money, of course, went to families in need. So I want to play my conversation here with Dean Janikowski, an awesome guy, great kicker on the field, but doing some amazing things off it for people in need.
Let's just start with the basics of this season. The way you guys are, off to a really nice start, 1 loss so far. We're in the home stretch. The ones in November, the ones to remember, as they always say. Oh, yeah. So just what's the feeling in Pullman these days? How's everybody feeling right now?
Yeah, it's feeling great. Obviously we're on our bye week. So just obviously rehabbing and getting ready for Utah State. But yeah, we feel great. The realignment of the Pac-12 is kind of a bummer, and it's kind of a crazy world right now, but everyone's doing a great job. Just remember to stay 1-0, just do your job, just stay ready for the next game. And obviously it's been working and it's been great.
Yeah, no question about that. When things are going that well, and then you see that you're up for something like this, an award that people have seen this award, right? The All-State Good Hands Award. And knowing, okay, things are going well on the field, things are clearly going well off it right now. How special is it for you that all these things are kind of coming together right now?
Yeah, it's a huge honor. I remember last year I made it. I think I was a nomination. I didn't make it this far. But it's a huge honor, especially for there to be 10,000 nominations and then to pick 11 out of them. It just means so much, especially for me, my family, and the foundation too. Just this recognition that just alone has just raised a lot more money, a lot more awareness. And yeah, it means so much to me.
Means so much, and certainly your motivation to start the foundation already means so much. And I'm still taken by everything you've done. How much more does that add to it that you were just doing something to really honor somebody so special, and it's led to something like this recognition, and in turn, like you mentioned, more awareness and help for those who need it.
Yeah, it's super cool. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast with him and Theo Vaughn, and Joe asked him, he goes, "What's your time worth?" And he just was like, what does your time mean to you? And I kind of really reflected on it and was like, oh my gosh, because sometimes I'm always on my phone or I'm stuck with social media and just thinking about other things. And when I thought about that, it like really motivated me, especially with the foundation and things like that. Is like, what is my time worth? Like, how much time am I putting into the foundation? How much time am I putting into the community? and how much more can I keep doing? And that kind of motivated me to just keep working on the foundation, reaching out to people and just connecting with those in my community. And it's really cool to be able to just help those people out. We raised a little bit over $150,000 here in Pullman and donated a little bit more than $100,000 to those people in the local area. And I mean, it's so cool just to be able to give. Like 2 weeks ago, we gave to a young lady. Her name's Layla. She's fighting leukemia, and to be able to give her money and her family and just be able to help pay for their medical bills and help her in her dream to go play softball at UCLA.
Wow, that's amazing. And that was actually kind of perfectly leading into my next question. You and I talked about this last August. Here we are 14, 15 months later. What are some of the things you've been most proud of with the foundation in that time, some of the strides you've made and things you guys have been up to since that time?
I mean, obviously the money we raised, the last event we had, the Kicking Cancer event, we raised a little bit over $55,000, which was huge. We had about 400 people there. I mean, the coolest part is too just meeting all these people and being able to help them. Obviously, money is a huge thing, but a lot of it too is just talking to them and having someone that has kind of gone through it and just like the in and out, like what treatment should we do? Just being able to help them and just be by their side and texting. I'm always texting people. Like today, I was talking to Jason Gilchrist, who I donated to. He's out of Spokane. He was going through radiology today, and just I was close to him in the local community. Today I was over there in Spokane, so just being able to connect with him and talk to him and just stay there and ask him how it's going has been really cool.
This is the most obvious question, but I just love to hear it. What is the reaction when you see somebody you've helped, like these people you've mentioned, when you see how thankful, how grateful they are? What does that do for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not normally an emotional person, but when I give money away and when I see the impact it does, it gets me pretty emotional. Just seeing that, and I see a little bit of just my mom and them, and just like their fight and their grit, and just, I mean, it really makes me excited. Honestly, I get nervous. Like it's almost like it's kind of similar to like the nervousness of like if you're about to propose to your girlfriend. It's like you have this money and you're so excited. You're like, I can't wait to see their reaction. I mean, there's a lot like I just wanted to go smoothly and just yeah, it's really exciting, and I just get emotional every single time.
I got to tell you a quick story. I proposed to my now wife. We're married 9 years. We were in a charity fashion show together. So there's a million people watching. That was nerve wracking. And she didn't see me for like 15 seconds. I'm like, she was doing her thing at the end, and I'm like, oh my God, how long am I going to sit here like this? Anyway, so that resonated with me. She said yes, of course.
Yeah, I know it's nervous. And they always say too, they'll be like, oh, don't be nervous. I'm going to say yes. And it's like, well, I just want it to be perfect.
Amen to that, brother. I appreciate that. And we talked about how you see a little bit, not to switch gears, I suppose, a little bit here. You talked about how you see a little bit of your mother and some of these people that you're helping out. And I know it's similar to what I asked a minute ago, but I'm just so taken by it. I mean, my goodness, you took this situation and you've turned it into something to honor your mom in such an amazing way. I know you're focused on the work and the day-to-day and whatever it might be, but I'm sure at some point you stopped along the way and been like, wow, this is amazing to do it in this way for her.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, everyone who's fighting cancer is super, super tough, like regardless. Like there's some people too that kind of get embarrassed by like just the help. Like they're such tough people. And so I mean it's cool to see that and just to see how strong they are and knowing that I'm able to help them and just be there by their side. I mean, my mom was super tough. She was fighting cancer and she was helping other people with cancer, and she was helping people who needed it more, or maybe she needed it more. It didn't matter. She was always giving. So that was kind of our whole idea with the Heather Janikowski Foundation, and just being able to keep her name around and do the same thing she did. Because if she was still around, she'd still be helping those. And just, it's cool to be able to keep scaling things up and help more and more people.
Did she ever imagined like what this has turned into?
I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of great family friends and my mom's friends that help a ton, and they're still blown away. I mean, they're just blown away with how we're able to help and just the impact we're doing on the community. It's so cool. And I think especially these last 2-3 years doing the foundation here in Pullman, obviously people know me through football, but I've gotten a lot stronger with the community, just helping these people and people knowing me through the foundation, and just it's been such a tight-knit group. Like it honestly is my family here in Pullman. It's incredible.
And I was just, everything that you've been able to do with this and just the experience of, playing high major football, doing all of this with the foundation, how has that changed you as a man as you continue to go through this college career here?
Yeah, a lot more humbled for sure. I mean, before I even had my scholarship, I never realized how expensive school was. Well, especially as I've gotten older and seeing how common cancer is nowadays, just seeing the expenses, especially like if you're someone here in Pullman, you're going to Seattle to get all your treatment. So you're spending gas money going back and forth, back and forth. We had one person I donated money to that I gave them $10,000, and that just paid for their hotel costs, let alone. They had a quarantine over there in Seattle. They were there for about 2 months. So I mean, it's just crazy how expensive things are, and it really just humbles me and just kind of just get a different perspective of like what people are going through.
And one thing I wanted to ask you too, I'm often inspired by the things your coach says post game or pre-game, just the way he carries himself. So I'm curious, what has he told you as far as like encouraging you to keep doing this? What are some of the things he's done to help you motivate you on and off the field?
Yeah, he's always been by my side. He's always been so supportive. I mean, to go all the way back from when my mom was in the hospital and things were getting really dark, and right before she passed away, I was able to fly home back and forth while we were getting ready for a bowl game. So he's been super supportive from the beginning and just allowing me to do that. And then now we started the foundation. He's been super helpful with that. He's been at all the kicking cancer events. He's donated a ton of money and helped out. I built an electric bike for our kicking cancer event, and I built it, and he bought it for I don't even know, but some high ticket price, and it was really cool. And he's always been super supportive through it all, and I couldn't do it without him.
So you built an electric bike. You got to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I always like my thing is kind of just building different projects, and so I built an electric bike for RJ Stone, and I built an electric bike for my girlfriend, and I made them out of Tesla batteries, so it's pretty cool, 18650 cells, and I created that, and so I was like, well, I got to do something cool for the second kidney cancer event, and I created this bike, and it runs off of Milwaukee batteries, so power tool batteries. It's a cool deal. I built it all, painted it, put some kicking cancer stickers on it, and yeah, really did it up, and yeah, we sold it at the event. It was super cool.
For anything you don't do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always staying busy. It's blurred out, but I got my 3D printer behind me that I've been having fun with and creating different projects like that. And over the summer I call it the poor man's jet boat. I got a Sea-Doo, cut it in half, got a 12-foot aluminum boat, put it right in there, and bolted it all together. And yeah, this small, really small jet boat that you can just go up through whitewater, and it's been a blast all summer.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so with all that said, I have to ask, what's next for you in that regard, but also in the larger picture, what is next for the Heather Janikowski Foundation?
Yeah, well, I want to keep going as long as I can, especially if I get a shot at the NFL. Going to keep more than a kick, going to keep doing that. My brother's also here, so he'll be here for the next 4 or 5 years. Keep the foundation going then, and then every single year keep doing the kidney cancer event as long as I can. I mean, I just really want to keep raising money for the people here in the Pullman community. They've done so much for me, and I want to keep giving back to them and just keep growing with that. And obviously, we got it back in California. We do 5Ks and hikes and things like that, and just keep helping out and growing it from there.
What about what you're doing or what might be next? All of it that maybe my questions didn't hit on are important that you want to get out there, that you want to talk about, something maybe we didn't get to in this, which has been a blast, this conversation, but it's maybe something we didn't touch on with the foundation.
Yeah, no, I think you can keep voting all the way till November 13th for me on the All-State. I think it's on ESPN, but you can keep ESPN. They're doing votes. You can vote every single day. And yeah, I just wanted to keep reiterating how much of an honor this is, and that regardless whether I win the award or not, we're going to keep growing this thing.
And I just have to say, I know I asked something similar, but I'm continually struck that you took this situation that was, enormously tragic. And could you have, when, in the toughest times, when mom was fighting, could you have ever imagined that it would have, you were certainly probably motivated in that moment to help her or to carry on the legacy, no question, but to see it go this way, to know how many people you've helped. I mean, could you have ever thought about this going that way?
No, never. I would have never guessed this, especially I keep pinching myself, especially just the fact that in 3 years we were able to raise $150,000. I mean, especially like when we even started the foundation, I never realized that like these nonprofits or these 501c3s, like people are profiting off of them. I never realized that. So like when we had our foundation, the biggest part of it is 100% of that money goes to someone fighting cancer. I don't pay myself. I don't pay the employees that help me. All that money goes to someone fighting cancer. There's no profit here. And yeah, I mean, it's so cool to see how much we've raised and just the community. I've always been a shy person, but to be able to like have this community and know all these people now and their stories and be able to talk to them all the time, it's just been so incredible.
Well, you got any support you need from us here, I promise you that. And I promise you, your mom is smiling on you. I know you already know that. Okay, so this goes on the air. This also goes in the podcast space. So if you could just tell folks who are listening, watching, whatever it might be, where we can find everything for you.
Yeah, so you can go either to the HeatherJanikowskiFoundation.com, or you can go to my social medias. You can help donate at the More Than a Kick, which is my campaign I'm doing right now. For every single field goal I make or PAT, you can pledge a certain dollar amount per point. So you can do $1, you can do $200, you can do whatever. But every single time I step out on the field and I make a field goal or PAT, that's money going to someone fighting cancer in the local community, which is Pullman, Spokane, or Seattle area. And yeah, so the easiest way is just most of my social medias, Twitter or Instagram, Dean.Janikowski, and you can help go there, donate, or go to the foundations.
We love it, and we loved watching you because your games here in Seattle are on our station. So we loved watching you, and we'll put some of this around that game. Dean Janikowski, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, Chris, you can tell that was just a fun conversation. Dean is like, it's hard to believe he's in college, right? For everything he's accomplished and the way he carries himself. Just really awesome to see all that.
And awesome that we could have it here as part of week 23. Oh, my goodness. Week 23 of Inside the Arena. We've had people like Joy Hollingsworth, the Seattle City Council member, talking basketball, her Sonics connection, Anthony Bourdain, Donald Watts, Kenny Mayne, Lenny Wilkins, the three-time Hall of Famer, Damon Hewer, the great from UW. We've taken you inside the secret Sonic stash. Fox Sports Network's former president, Bob Thompson. We talked the World Cup, women's sports, off the pitch stuff, the Sounders, the rain. Oh, my gosh, we're just going to keep it on rolling, right, David Lee?
You've been listening to Inside the Arena with Niko and Chris. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Until next time.